Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Around South Jersey program. I have one of my very favorite people with a nice shirt. I like that shirt, Tony. Tony Trongone, Superintendent of Schools for the City of Millville, and we have a lot of information you're going to want to hear about tonight. And Tony's prepared a great agenda for the things that are happening. And how's your summer been so far? You got a nice tan.
Sure, yeah, I know. I took a couple days off, and being Italian, it doesn't take me but 2 days to get this little bronzing on. So I'm doing pretty good, Jim, but it's been pretty busy. We're getting a little nervous now. It's August 4th.
Yeah.
First day of school is September 6th, Tuesday.
I was going to ask you.
So it's a little over a month away, so we're getting ready.
Well, it's amazing, though. Football and the other sports, they start in August now.
Yeah, start next week. Practice is next week.
Yeah. Wow.
And the first game is August 28th at Ocean City.
Yep.
We'll be doing a game.
Battle of the Beach, or whatever it is. And then the next one is up at Rutgers.
Yeah, we're going to have a traveling show.
That's for sure. The Rutgers game. This is interesting. The game at Rutgers is against Irvington. And Irvington is the North Jersey Group 4 winner. Millville was the South Jersey, Central Jersey Group 4 winner. So maybe this year, I don't know, are they going to the final playoffs this year?
This year will be the first year they'll be a true state champion where they'll have a finals now.
Right, okay. So what's neat is both teams, Millville and Irvington, won their division and their title for the Group 4. So they're playing the second game of the season at Rutgers. That's pretty interesting.
It's a tough schedule. We have a very difficult schedule. But that's how you get that exposure. And when they get that type of exposure and that type of competition, college scouts like that.
Yeah, that's for sure. And Millville's still got a lot of great players coming back. And watched Coach Ayala with Tony Cerace last night talking about the team and the players and excitement that's there. But boy, I'll tell you what, you talk about a tough schedule. St. Augustine, Prep, Shawnee, Cherokee, there's no more mainland and Oakcrest and the ones we're used to.
There's no week off.
No, there isn't. No, not at all. Whew. But I guess that's the price you pay when you are good. Anyway, some of the questions. One of the things, Tony, let's talk about the breakdown of the budget. And I don't think a lot of people understand that, fortunately, a lot of the monies that come for the City of Millville school board budget, which is what, about 120, 110?
It's about 110 million.
Okay. So of the $110 million, all but about 10 million come from federal and state
It's gone
grants.
up over the past 7 or 8 years. It's about 12% of the budget, so it's about 14 million.
Okay. But think about it, folks. For $14 million of our taxpayer money, we get another 100 plus, just about 100 million from the federal and state government, because Tony and the staff at the high school, at the Board of Education, work. And this man, he finds grants and programs everywhere, which is a tribute to Tony because he really knows what he's doing, and that's been a big help.
Yeah, that's part of the superintendent's job nowadays. You just can't sit and wait because everyone has a lobby group, everyone has an advocate, and you could open the newspaper up the next day and find out that somebody else is getting something and you're not. So I always say, and Stephanie DeRosa, she always repeats it, you have to have a seat at the table. So you have to be at these meetings and making sure that whatever the legislature will do, that we have a mouthpiece. We have someone that's going to advocate for Millville.
Well, you've done a good job of that. And one of the things that I know with the federal monies, the 1.2, or is that for the breeding program? I see you have replacement for heating and air conditioning at Silver.
Yeah, right now we have about $17 million in federal money from the COVID.
Oh, that's good. And
out of that 17 million, about 15 million will go towards infrastructure. And so let's say 12 years ago, Governor Corzine plugged the state budget with federal money, and then the next year, Chris Christie came aboard, and then they were $1 billion short. So we don't want to relive that same event in Millville. So we're trying to put those monies into one-time expenses. So let's make sure if you live in Millville and you've been to schools in Millville, you know that Silver Run has always had an issue with climate control. So we're going to make sure we fix that by having a whole new heating and air conditioning system. And believe it or not, I know it's not like your home It's different with schools. There's different standards, but it's at least $10 million to overhaul. Yeah,
wow.
exactly. So, and it goes through the whole bid process. But again, so 10 million of that will go towards Silver Run. Another 5 million will go to Holly Heights. Again, you talked about grants.
Yeah.
We put in for some grants for another 5 million to get Holly Heights done. So let's get these schools, proper heating and air conditioning. Not that they're not proper now, but whatever happens with whatever pandemic brings our way with filtration systems we have,
Right.
what it takes to have the kids to be in school and our staff in a safe and orderly learning environment.
That's very, very important. Of course, in a little while to talk about safe learning environment. But right now, one of the things that I know is always, and you've always talked about this, is how we really need to work on our reading program. And I do see that you have a $1.2 million that's going to be spent on a new reading program. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, Jim. So you don't like to be negative, but I got to say that what happened this past year, our reading program was obsolete. It actually it's digital now, and the vendor said, "Hey, we don't even offer it." Well, they did us a favor by running that again for us this year to get us by, and so our language arts, Dr. Moore, and the language arts department, Cheryl Banks, Millville resident, got together and they kicked the tires. Deb Malone, who's the chair of our curriculum committee, kicked the tires on some programs, and they chose the American Reading Company. And so Millville's a large school district. It has, the 5 schools. It has many classrooms, and they all had to have new resources and new digital resources for our kids. And so it's a huge undertaking, but picture you do your house and you clean the room out to the studs and you start from scratch. That's what we're doing with our language arts program here in Millville to make sure our kids have the most current and most efficient and effective resource for their learning.
And certainly reading is such an important part of that program. It's key for every child. And I know we don't score as well as we'd like to in that program.
Right. If you look at the past 15 years, we've had about a 20% gap with other districts similar to us. So we really do have to make a significant improvement in this area. And so I always say, what's your record? It's the back of the baseball card. And nobody likes to turn that card over to see what those numbers look like, but we have to. And again, I can see if you were at 90%, you slip to 80%, but when you have 20% of our kids meeting the standards, that's not good enough. And that's what the board and myself and our administrative team we want to get to provide our kids with the best education possible.
That's super. Well, speaking of great things going on, I understand that you're adopting an ROTC program. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm going to give Stephanie DeRose the credit for that. It's been a 4-year undertaking to apply for a junior ROTC, and it'll be the Air Force. This year will be a starter year where they'll seed the program with training for a teacher and all the different resources that are necessary to pull off a curriculum and experience for our kids. And then next year, the 23-24 school year, will be a full-fledged ROTC program. We just got approved for it. We're real excited. Kudos to Stephanie on her efforts with getting the junior ROTC into Millville.
Well, I know some good things happening at the Lakeside Middle School. One of them is the new principal, Amanda Gaunt. I saw her on TV at National Night Out. Very impressed with her.
Full of energy and
yeah.
And of course she's smart. Of course she's a leader, but people follow passion. And if you go over there, she's painting the walls. It wasn't that it needed it, but it's a cultural shift that they have to make there. Yeah. And so her team on a Thursday, you go over there and help her out. She'll be painting, and so when those kids come in, it's going to be different. Yeah. It's like, what's different about Lakeside? Also, Amanda Gaunt is working with her administrative staff on Teams model.
Yeah.
So I think for our parents out there, I don't know why we went that route we did, but we went to a junior high model. And at this day and age, even before the pandemic, it really wasn't conducive to a good learning environment for our kids in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Everybody knows that middle school is always a
Yeah.
It's a tough,
I taught
tough
seventh
grade.
grade. I taught that lovely lady at the end of the table, but she was super.
Yeah, you didn't get any
We're
problem
talking
with
about the
Debbie,
school board vice president, Debbie Malone. That time she was Debbie Wetstein before she met that handsome Larry Malone.
but you look at the Lakeside building; it's a large building.
Yeah, it sure
It
is.
was the Prudential building, as you all know, and the hallways are smaller than typical. So it's tough for when you traverse that. A young picture, a 12-year-old, 11-year-old has to go from one end of the building to the other for going from language arts to math. Then they bump into somebody. I just can't be matter of fact about it. Then all of a sudden there's some kind of event, behavioral event. So we try to mitigate any type of the traffic patterns and having heavy traffic patterns by having those into core curriculum academic teams. So math, science, social studies, and language arts. Those 4 teachers, they'll have about 100 kids. They'll be in a close proximity of each other. And then there'll be, so many teams per grade level. And then of course, they have to go to lunch or they have to go to their art class, but the traffic patterns will be more coordinated. And then also just day-to-day procedures. But I can't say enough about our staff there. When I go and I listen to our staff, it takes a special person to work with middle school kids in the United States, and our staff are excellent. It's just that sometimes the system is letting them down, and that's our job to look at that and try to help them help our kids, and that's what we're trying to do. And so kudos to Amanda Gaunt and our team. Again, all the rooms are prepped. We're making those moves, and so the middle school will go to back to a teams model, and we're looking for some great things from Miss Gaunt and her team and the kids.
Well, it's funny. I'm thinking about it. When I taught 7th grade and Debbie Wetstein Malone was in my class, we had 2 teachers. I taught math and science, and Mrs. McDonough taught language arts, social studies. And our classrooms were right next to each other. So at midday, they just, obviously go to lunch, but then they come right back to the class right next to the other. So you're not going up and down the hallways.
And that's what we're doing with 4 teachers now, because it's more specialized.
Well, that's even better to have 4, because I was limited on what I know about science, so those poor kids didn't get a whole lot of knowledge. When I first, you got to understand, when I first was given the job, they said, "Jim, you got history and English." I'm like, "Yes." And then Mrs. McDonough had a master's. They said, "No, you got math and science." I said, "Okay." And in fact, I was still going to college at the time, and I'll take it. The modern math, as they called it then, when you were a kid in school.
It was called the new math.
Yeah, and I was still taking it at college while I was teaching it at school. So it's like, what I learned tonight, next day I'd teach to the kids.
Is that why Debbie doesn't want to be on the budget committee?
That's it. Yep. Yeah. That's right. And don't give her percentages, right, Deb? Larry told me I did a lousy job.
But again, we look for great things at Lakeside this year. A lot of work and efforts going in. We know that's a focal point for our district to make sure that's going to be a great environment for our kids too.
When we come back, we're going to talk about security chief and some other things about that. We'll be back with Superintendent of Schools for the City of Millville, Tony Trongone, right after these messages.
Have you ever wanted to make the big money? Have you ever wanted to drive the big construction equipment? Here's your chance to go to school, learn the big machines, and start a new career. MCITC is a heavy equipment operator training school that offers you the opportunity to learn to use the big machines and start earning the big benefits. Don't hesitate. Call today 856-825-6655. That's 856-825-6655. Or visit our website at mcitcnj.com.
At Mintz Insurance, we're proud to have been serving our customers for nearly 80 years, offering 30 different insurance products for your auto, home, and business. And to help ensure that you're getting the best rates possible, we give you up to 3 quotes for every policy, so you can choose what's right for you. At Mintz, we're part of the community, local representatives, supporting events, and proud of it. It's part of who we are. Mintz Insurance. Call today and find out how we can help you save on insurance, or visit us at mintzinsurance.com.
Let's hear more from the Style Family.
More than a century ago, General Tire was born, right here in America. Since then, we've made a name for ourselves, and making tires you can depend on. Tires built to handle any road this country can throw at them, and relied on by every kind of driver. So you know that no matter where life takes you, with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
Welcome back to Around South Jersey. Jim Quinn along with our superintendent of schools, Tony Trongone. And one of the big things that obviously everybody's thinking about is security. And I got to give this guy credit. When he first came to Millville, he was telling me, Jim, I have to have the vestibule so that the people come in. They have to be checked by security. They can't just walk into school like at Mount Pleasant and some of the other schools. Mm-hmm. It was just normal. You just walked in. I'll tell you now what you talked about, Tony, where are we on that? And I know security chief, the vestibule at Lakeside, I guess Silver Run and Senior High, they already have one.
Yeah, so when I first got here, being in other school districts, I knew that we were deficient in this area. And so with the board, working with the board, we hired a security chief and then worked on security vestibules where you get buzzed into one door, then you go into a second door and you're pretty much stuck in that vestibule and you get screened there before you go into the school for whatever purpose it is. So obviously money plays into a factor. Sorry, it's just a reality. I don't want to say that, but there wasn't an issue back then. But we wound up getting our 3 schools done, and this summer we'll have 3 more, and then the year after that we'll get to 2, and then we'll be complete. So we're phasing in all the vestibule area for that. So that's just one piece of it. If somebody wants to get in, they're going to get in. But we want to make sure that our schools are hard targets, not soft targets. And so when the bad guys come, they drive by the places they know are hard to get into. And that's why we have to make sure that those vestibules are working. All of our perimeter doors are all locked because it's really not just the infrastructure, it's also the human behavior. Not letting anybody in the school that's not supposed to be. Somebody knocks on the door, student lets them in. That could happen. That's why all that's in play right now with professional development, with our teachers, with our guards, and also with our kids to make sure that we keep a hardened target. But that, and also, like I said, the security chief putting in protocols, procedures, and then also cameras. We didn't have any. We had cameras at the high school and a limited amount at Lakeside, but now we have them in all of our schools. And then at the elementary, there'll be interior starting this year. We had the exterior license plate readers. We're working on that too. So if somebody drives up, we know what type of car, identifying a car that pulls in. And so we're working on that also. So there's a lot of different things that go into security. It keeps me up at night, and it keeps a lot of people, it keeps parents up at night. And we want to make sure that when their bundle of gold comes to school, they're coming back home the same that they dropped them off with. So that's the goal. And we're not going to rest until, we strive to be as tight with security as we can, but still have a fertile learning environment. And also, when you do this, Jim, parents get a little upset because they want to come into school. Because we always were taught, let's have the parent involved in the school community. Sure. But now when you put these measures in place, we say, what's your purpose? Yeah, drop the lunch off now. You can't walk in. Yeah. So it's tough because we want our parents involved, but we know that we have to put measures in place to make sure that the kids are safe and we have those protocols in place.
Who would have ever dreamed that we'd be talking about this?
It's a shame. It really is sad. It is sad. Also, panic alarms. Just like a bank, when you push a button, we didn't have that. We have that now. We have it where you push a button. I know that they have technology with cell phones, but if you live in Millville, sometimes service doesn't work. And so we had something that was a mobile service, and that was not good. So you push a hard-wired button, and it goes right to first responders. And we'll have that in all of our schools this summer to make sure that's happening too. It's a law, you have to have that, but we'll have that also. But that's something that the public should know that's something we're working on. And then the last is the armed security guards, which was controversial. Board members were split on what we needed to do, but in the end, the goal is to have an armed security guard, along with our regular security guards we had, have an armed security guard in every school, at least one. And so that's the goal. We went through an RFP process to have a an outside company come in and bring that service. And so we're working on that too. So that's also coming up for the current school year.
I've heard a lot about the outside company, all very positive from schools that are using it. Apparently what this company does is they hire retired state troopers who are very experienced. And so I mean, that's a nice situation to do. But it's nice too that you got the balance. You've got the fellas or girls, the women or men that are in this company that's outsourced too. But you still have your in-house people, your unarmed security people who know the students, have been there with them, and they have that relationship. So
but there's professional development. We're going to work with the company that whoever wins the bid to where they actually, they're part of their program is to assimilate into the learning community too. So we know it's important. You can't be, I call it being a cowboy. You can't come in here and be a cop. You have to be someone that's going to be a security person, and relate to the kids and build relationships with the kids. So that's also a big piece of this. So it's not just the standalone sentry at the door. Those kids know that you're someone that's going to be a friend of them.
So another thing I see that's going to be very helpful, I'm sure, is the community outreach public information officer. Who's that?
That's Meg Finney, another Millville grad. She is a certified superstar. I'm certifiable. She's certified. I make her certified. But the work that she's done, I call her the glue because I've been here 2 years, but I really feel it's my first year because of the pandemic.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But we had 8 schools, but they weren't. We weren't getting together and connecting as much. And Meg make sure that we are connected. And so when you look at a parent that they have a child at the Child Family Center, but also a child at Silver Run, what do the parent nights look like? Yeah. So there's no conflict. So she organizes that. She makes sure that we get all the messengers. So nowadays, if something happens, you get an email, a phone call, and a text. And so Meg works that with the principals to get that information out right away. We just updated our website, a new dynamic website that started 2 weeks ago. Take a look at it on millville.org. It's great, and it's every day there's something new on it for our parents. We try to minimize the amount of clicks so you don't have to click 8 or 9 times to get what you need. That's our goal. But also Meg is big with, obviously Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, getting the word out and getting that two-way communication with our families as far as if we have something, it could be transportation. And then we learn from the parents something that maybe we didn't communicate properly or something isn't right. And so it's good to have that information, and we welcome it. Newsletters. So not everybody's digital. So we have a hard copy newsletter going out to our community members. Meg's worked hard with that. And again, there's other things that Meg Finney does. But again, keeping us all together, making sure we're all putting a good front in our communication to our community about what's going on in Millville Public Schools. But the biggest thing is positive feedback, positive news to there's so many good things going on in Millville, so many good things. So our community gets to see all the great things our kids are doing. It really is special. When it's not just sports, it's the band, it could be whatever. We had a student that saved somebody's life at Wawa.
Yeah, that's right.
So John was recognized, and Meg made sure that was out there. They're the things that make it special. So again, and then you look at the energy that's happening in Millville, and you look at the National Night Out. So it's not just the school district; it's the whole town. There's an energy, there's a buzz. And so when we went there the other night, it was a buzz. It was good. It wasn't a run-of-the-mill, let's go through a perfunctory function. Like we weren't going through it. Oh, this is a National Night Out. Okay. Everybody was together. It was really special, and it takes people like Meg and energy, and then you have the commission and all that to get together and say we're in this together. So it really is special, and Meg is the one that helps build that connection with the community.
Wait, I'll tell you what, I never thought this day would come, because I remember even when I was the mayor, we used to sit and talk about the new high school, and Mr. Beatty and Bill Herman and I met with the state and all that stuff, and that's been 20 years ago, I guess. Anyway, what good news. Tell everybody what's happening this September.
Well, the senior high on Wade Boulevard will be for grades 9 to 12 finally.
Wow.
So the 9 to 10 students that were in Memorial Well, now last year the 10th graders came over. Now the 9th graders will come over, and so that'll start this September 6th. Well, it'll be a full-fledged 9 to 12 learning community at the senior high. We talked to this building is a $163 million project, paid almost completely with state tax dollars, not local tax dollars. There are a couple little things that we added in that we have to pay because we want them. It's not a part of their plan, but it's a $163 million project. And if you haven't been there, you saw the gym. You've done some shows in the gym, exactly. The weight room, the library, the TV studio. We're working on the fields. That's next. So that's a big concern as far as the fields. We lost the field because when you have a new project, there's retention ponds and all, and so we lost 2 fields. So we're working on that. We had to put new irrigation in for the soccer field, so we're working on that, making sure those fields are safe for our kids. But the biggest issue is we had 800 kids at the senior high, and now we have 1,600.
Wow.
And so we're concerned about traffic in buses and traffic patterns, and I wasn't here. It's been how many years?
Oh, geez, yeah, forever.
20 years?
Yeah, at least.
At least 5 years ago, and there's no plan for the arrival and departure schemes for cars and buses. And so our principal, Jamie Sutton, is working out a plan, and we're leaning on the Schools Development Authority, who's responsible for the project, to help us with some type of driveway so we can get a good flow going on. And that is not done yet. That'll be done later in the school year. So we have to come up with a plan in September to make sure that we have a good traffic pattern and a safe traffic pattern for our kids and for our staff, and parking, too. So that's the warts and pimples of it. But again, it's beautiful. The auditorium will be done in probably November. That's beautiful. Great sound system in there. So we're going to have some tours because it's a state project. It's almost like the Politburo in Russia. They're very secretive about what we need to do. So we have a little informal tours that Stephanie and Jamie have done. And so the board will go through a tour. But we won't have an official tour with the state folks until the auditorium is done later in the school year. So I know people ask about that. And so we want the public to see what's going on there. So we'll have that ready for you. That'll be well advertised for a public tour of this really nice building that was afforded to us. And it's, like you said, a long time coming.
Well, to Tony Trongone's credit, about a year ago or so during the field hockey season, Tony said, we really should do a field hockey game. And I said, we should do a lot more things. Obviously, folks, he donates his service and has other people help so that we aren't as pressed to have to pay. I mean, I have to have Ryan and Otley and my staff there that have to videotape and stuff. Or we did it live. But this was an interesting situation, talking about fields. We talked about, doing it even at Wheaton Field, which made sense because you got the press box, you could get the camera up and all that kind of stuff. And somebody said, nope, Claudia will not allow field hockey to be done on Wheaton Field. So what we ended up doing was we did it in Vineland on their beautiful turf field, and Millville won, and Claudia's granddaughter scored the all-time leading goal. She was able to give it to her grandma, and Ryan was there to videotape or to televise it and got that on tape. But the point was that for whatever reason, what they use for the field hockey is better where she was than Wheaton Field. That was her feeling. But now, tell us about what's going to be happening to Wheaton Field. This is a great thing.
Yeah, well, I'll start off with Bridgeton. It's been 12 years since they've had a turf field, and it's been 6 years since Volland had a turf field. And it really is a staple in all high schools across New Jersey and the country. And we still have a grass field. And during the graduation, I got a good feel for how the field. Our field is lumpy. It is very lumpy. So when you play field hockey, the ball will bounce up and on. You want the ball to be smooth. So I understand why Claudia didn't want to play a game there. But now we're going to go to a turf field. But it won't be just for football. I know that it'll benefit our football team, right? Because the turf field is for athletes that are very fast, and we have some speedsters, so it'll benefit our football team. But now we can have night games with soccer, girls soccer, boys soccer, field hockey. So we can have that. And then the other issue is with the fields that we lost with the construction project, that gives Mr. Lagamba another field at night to work and put some games out there at night, because he's limited on what's going on as far as the field. So it really is going to benefit, but it's not just the field. It's going to. We'll have some pictures. It looks pretty cool how it's going to be a new track. Again, our track right now is like 4 lanes that goes. Oh yeah, you have that there. So it's going to have a nice track. The track will be in blue and orange. Really looks sharp. And again, you'll see how the field's marked out for multiple sports. But it'll be a full-fledged track. Right now, our track runs into the stands, one of the lanes. So we're going to fix that. They're going to fix the bleachers, fix the lighting, have a new scoreboard, but also the fencing around. We wanted to have a stadium effect. And so if you're there now, it looks almost like a jail. It has like the barbed wire fence there. But we want to make it, aesthetically pleasing, but also safe for our fans. So it's going to look, and we're going to have a ticket stand. Right now, our ticket stand is a classroom.
That was my classroom when I taught special ed.
Really?
Honest to God, it
So
was.
we don't go to a ticket. You go to the school, and somebody hangs out the window and sells you tickets. So we're going to have a ticket stand, an entry point to get into the John Barbeau Stadium on at Wheaton Field, and then the next piece is so we have that plan going. That's going to start in after football season. So we're going to have to look and see where we're going to have our track events for next spring, and also graduation. That's an issue because it will not be done by then. So we'll have to look and see what we need to do. It could be, but we still have to have contingency plans for track and for graduation this upcoming spring, because they'll be working on Wheaton Field on that.
Well, you know where we are, Benji.
Go ahead, give the plug.
We're at the New Jersey Motorsports Park.
And so everybody knows that we have our second half of our graduation here. Yeah. So we might just put stands. We'll probably rent. I got to talk to Brad and those folks to see if we maybe have something here with our parents so they can see it and then do their lap, because our graduates do a lap here and then get their diploma at the end. It's so cool. So that's what we're working on. And then the next project I'm working on, and I'm turning over rocks, is a field house. Again, it's not a new fad, but it's something that's necessary for high school athletics, and you can see that there.
Great.
It's like a half a football field, but it's not just for football. We could rent it out for whatever, but it's also for, again, I was talking to Mr. Oh my God, why can't I forget his name? Rob DeSantis. The band goes at night and practices at Lakeside. Now they have an indoor place to practice.
Super.
And so it's just about kids, and kids now they can be indoor, they can practice, and it's climate controlled. And so that's another vision I have. It has nothing to do with me and my name. It's just something we have to do for the kids of Millville. So I want to get this done, and at least before I leave here, to get that field house done. And that'll be, if you go back to that parking lot, you'll see where we want to put it. It's behind the press box on Wheaton Field. And then another issue is, you can see on the left-hand side there, that's where we want to put the field house behind where the press box is at Wheaton Field, and a parking lot there, because then when people come in, that's where their bus will go. Right now, the bus goes on the side. Right. There's, you know how it is. It's a little contentious with our fans, their fans. Yeah. They get to come in. So it's a well thought out plan, and that's what we want to do. That's the ultimate goal, for it to look like that. But again, it's not just for football. It's going to be for multiple sports. It'll have a locker room. Wow, so they'll have locker rooms in there also. So it's going to, again, it'll be good for the kids, and that's what I'm getting excited about something like this. So we talked about the curriculum. We talked about security and safety. That's big. And then there's a good picture of what that's a school that shares our colors, but you can see the design that they're going to follow there. It's really sharp. And so our kids deserve it. And that, what you're seeing there, that's going to be done the goal is for next year, the 23-24 school year. And again, our kids deserve that, and gives them a sense of pride.
And Tony, you can't leave. You've got a lifetime contract here, right? And then I was thinking about it. We could call it the Tony Trongone Track, TTT.
Nothing will be named after me. I think there's people that well deserve. You have some people that have been coaching here and teaching here for a long time, and that'll be up to the board. But Millville's a special place, and we have, like, Claudia's been here, was here 50 years. Yeah. Coached a race, and there's other folks that are deserving. So that's something that's out of my purview, but that'll be something we do with these particular venues. to recognize the people that have served our kids for a long time.
Well, I just thought TTT went well, but I agree with you.
If I can get money to fund it, the field house, you can put up whatever you want. As long as our kids have a place to practice in, that'll be good.
We're talking with the superintendent of schools for the city of Millville, Tony Trongone, about all the great, exciting things that are going to be happening in the next 12 months in the Millville School District, and we'll be back with Tony right after these messages.
Complete Care Health Network has some big news to share with you.
We're here opening more locations and offering more services every day,
including our newest locations on Pearl Street in Brixton and High Street in Millville.
We're here with convenient, high quality, and accessible healthcare services all under one roof.
We're here just a call or an email away.
We're here to provide compassionate care for you and your family.
We're here and we're ready when you are.
Complete Care Health Network, ready when you are.
In South Jersey, we do things our own way. We say things out loud, face things head on, and never back down. And that's how we fight cancer. With the most advanced diagnostics, leading-edge technology, and a team of doctors who know how to treat your cancer. And most importantly, we do it right here at the Frank and Edith Scarpa Cancer Center, Vineland, and the Leading Edge Cancer Center, Mullica Hill.
Evil. It surrounds me everywhere. Every day I come face to face with life-changing decisions. Mom, Dad, is there help? Mom, Dad, what's the answer?
Stop by, we can introduce you to him. Have you ever wanted to make the big money? Have you ever wanted to drive the big construction equipment? Here's your chance to go to school, learn the big machines, and start a new career. MCITC is a heavy equipment operator training school that offers you the opportunity to learn to use the big machines and start earning the big benefits. Don't hesitate. Call today 856-825-6655. That's 856-825-6655. Or visit our website at mcitcnj.com.
Welcome back to Around South Jersey. Jim Quinn along with our superintendent of schools for the city of Millville, Tony Trongone, and we've been talking about some great things that are going to be happening in the next 12 months. In fact, even in the next month, it'll be really great to have the high school fully utilized by all the kids. That's something I think we've all been waiting for, and very proud of you and the school board moving forward to get to that point where 1,600 kids in that school. Wow, that's fantastic.
I guess somebody from the past said there were probably more than that before, but it was when 35 kids in a classroom. But in today's day and age,
when I taught Debbie, there were 35.
Yeah. But 1,600 kids is a lot nowadays in a school, and the lot is actually small for a high school lot. That's what people are telling me. So, but we're going to make the best of it.
Well, especially once you get the turf field, that'll maybe you could do away with some of the fields out there.
Well, the thing is, we took on lacrosse, boys lacrosse. So there's these, when I was in high school, we didn't have all these sports.
Yeah,
and it's a Jenga puzzle to kind of get everybody where they need to be every afternoon.
Yeah.
So you need capacity. So you have those fields available, and say, oh, you can go to this field. So that's why we want to open that up, make sure we have a field for our kids to play on.
Well, I got to tell you, the next thing has very close to me. When I was 17 years old, I actually substituted in the city of Millville. What happened, I graduated in June and went to Glassboro College at the time, took 9 credits. Those days you needed 6 to be a sub. So I started substituting in October of 1963. My first school that I ever substituted in was for Catherine Baumhoff, grade 4 at Wood School. So that's got a special place in my heart, like the Memorial Junior High School does. So let's talk about Wood School. Miss Kimberlin's not there anymore, so we can.
Yeah, so we had our Thunderbolt Academy, which is an alternative school there for the past 6 years. And now with the migration of the 9th and 10th graders to the senior high, we want to put the alternative school at Memorial. and they'll have only a segment of Memorial, and we'll be working on other uses for Memorial. But with Wood, there'll be a committee of the board to look at subsequent use of the Wood School, but also talking to Kim O'Neill is a gym teacher there. She's Tony. What are we going to do? There's special mementos there, and I promised her. I said, we'll try to save a lot of that stuff. And what we're going to try to do is even take some of the stuff off the walls. And then Culver it's nice, but it was done it was renovated in '93, and I think we need to make some of those walls commemorative walls for Wood School. So that's what I think we're going to do. We're going to make a commemorative wall for Wood.
And you know what else? Speaking of Wood School, Bob Smith was working there at that point. Everybody loved Bob Smith. He came up with the idea of the Wall of Honor. They have that there,
and that's really what Kim was talking about.
Should be done in the high school. Bridgeton has a great program. The Wall of Honor is you go in Bridgeton High School, and now you have the new school. I think that's something that Millville ought to look at. I mean, especially the athletes are, they've got the Hall of Fame. It's beautiful, but Thunderbolt Club Hall of Fame and all that. But I mean, Mr. Fenton, his son, is a fabulous singer, and there's a lot of people that don't get recognition because they weren't an athlete. So and I'm sure there are hundreds of people who would qualify.
Well, we definitely have the space, and I was talking to Stephanie Rose about that. So that's something that we're working on is looking at walls in the new high school for recognizing our alumni. There are many people, Coach Rice being one of them, that want to champion that. But getting back to Wood School, that's what we want to do with that Wall of Honor. Put that somewhere in Culver, take some of the placards down or whatever it is, and put it there so it doesn't go forgotten.
In fact, I was at an awful lot of those events when they were honoring people, and some wonderful people that were honored, there.
I'm not going to let that go. So we're going to make sure that happens, and then determine what the use of wood will be then after that too.
Yeah, and I mean, at least as you look forward, I mean, the last school I guess that was closed up would have been Western, I believe. I subbed there too, so when you look around, and so I mean, yeah, and at least I'm sure it'll have some good purpose, because that community, the Third Ward community, I wish Gladys and Raw were still here, because that could have been the home of the Third Ward, advisory community and stuff like that.
It doesn't have a gym.
That's right.
So that hurts us with the alternative school.
Yeah, it does have a Catholic.
We were using the Catholic school, but they knocked that down across the street, so there was no gym.
Yeah.
And that's compulsory, so we have to make sure we have a gym for the kids. So
that works out that you'll have the gym at Memorial. And of course, for old people like me, that's where I graduated. So that was my high school when I went to school, and now it's been the junior. In fact, I think 2 years
talking
later,
about Memorial.
Yeah, 2 years later, Memorial became the junior high. In fact, I was there, and then the high school.
64 was the first year.
Exactly. Yep. So that's what moved from there. And the other thing that came up was when I was teaching there, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade were at Memorial. So it was sort of that junior high program. But it's changed. The middle school went from, or the junior high was 7, 8, 9. The middle school was 6, 7, 8. And that, I don't know when that changed, maybe 10 years
ago.
And
Rick Avenue was a middle school, right? Didn't Rick Avenue have a combination?
Oh, that's a neat story. I taught at Rick Avenue when it first opened. Actually, what ended up happening was I was a union rep, and I got in trouble because I'm saying, wait a minute, Rick Avenue went from K to 8. So I'm teaching 7th, and they said, you get your 20-minute break. I said, wait a minute. We don't get a study period? Usually you have a study period.
No, that's one thing people don't realize about elementary teachers.
They have the hour lunch. They didn't give us. I said, well, if we're elementary, give us the hour lunch. If we're junior high, give us what the people over at the junior high are getting. No, you're not getting either. So I wasn't happy with that.
But you were a Jet for a little while, huh?
I was. Okay. In fact, I was there just about first open, and the roof leaked the first day.
And again, I'm advocating for more funding from the state for our buildings. And believe it or not, Memorial's on the list and Bacon's on the list for renovation, but Rick Avenue was on the list, and I was like, but it's been a while now.
69 it opened.
Yeah, so it's on the list as far as obsolescence. Yeah, and they want to see what they can do to renovate it. I was surprised to see it on the list.
Yeah, well, that's good. But you think about it, time flies by. Rick Avenue was one of the new schools back when I was teaching, and now it's 69.
I'm going through that now. So in Silver Run.
Yeah.
It was built in '93.
Right.
That was 30 years ago.
I know.
So when I'm talking, I'm advocating for, upgrading the HVAC, the heating and air conditioning, and I'm talking to the director of the SDA, and he's going, well, I said, the boilers, what's the life of a boiler now? They don't make them like they do before. And he goes, well, I don't know, 30 years. When was the school built? 1993. And so 70 is really 30 years ago in my mind.
Yeah.
Not 90.
Yeah.
And so it's time. It's time for these buildings to get refreshed.
Yeah, it really
so
is.
and we got to stay on it.
Well, and you've been doing a great job staying on this
So far.
And I know that you've had the support of the school board, and we certainly appreciate that from the school board standpoint. And you have a new school board member, Rick Cott. Rick?
Yeah, he's an excellent addition. He definitely brings with school security and whatnot. But first of all, our school board members, we had contract negotiations this year, and I got to tell you that I was really impressed with because again, I've been in multiple school districts in my career. The sentiment they have for our teachers. You are at the bargaining table. It's always contentious, but the bottom line is this year we ratified contracts for the teachers union. It was also for the Council 18 for our custodians and building maintenance workers. And I think there was another one. I'm drawing a blank right now. MSSA, which is our support folks. So, but a lot of things had to get done, and a lot of compromise on both sides to get it done. So I really appreciated that, being the administrator that has to work with people every day and making sure that they feel they're compensated fairly. And that was a great thing. But getting back to Rick brings that same personality where he just wants to get things done. He's Millville first, what's good for the kids.
Yeah.
And again, being he was our SRO.
Yes, right.
So he actually brings that perspective, a good perspective as far as security. Yeah. And he's a good resource to just bounce things off of.
Well, you've got some really good people on the school board, and that's important, and they care about the kids, and that's why they're there. And I appreciate them. And believe me, folks, everybody in the school board donates their time. They don't get a dime. They give of their time because
and I bug them a lot. So we have random meetings. Debbie can tell you, because if I like to let them know ahead of time what I'm thinking, and I'm not trying to be facetious, but I'm always brainstorming. And it's good to keep the board members informed about what's going on. So, and so we have a lot of meetings. But also, I want to forget, we went through COVID, and it was a rough 2 years. And I want to thank Scott Godfrey and Karen McCafferty for what they've done, and our nurses for what they've done. It was, and our teachers and our staff and our parents. But Scott Godfrey brought it to our attention that he goes, remember this time last year, and the governor said we had to test everybody? Oh, yeah. And it was like, how are we going to get this done? But we got it done, and there was a lot of can do, and we had Salmon Ventures help us. We didn't spend a dime on that whole program. Other districts spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, but through the right networking, we were able to accomplish it and keep our teachers in school and our kids in school. So I want to thank Scott and Karen McCafferty for all they've done to lead the way. But again, the nurses and all the work they had to do, because it's not like what you think when you went to school as a school nurse, because as one of our nurses mentioned, the acuity, there's a lot of needs now. You just can't have kids come to school and go on a class trip. The medication is just astounding amount of work they have to do to keep it up on a normal day, let alone do that work plus take care of line tracing with COVID and all that. And again, with Scott and Karen, so they were very helpful.
Yeah, you've got
little armadillos.
Great staff, which is good too. That they're working hard, and doing the things they need to do to keep. How many employees does the school board have?
We have over 1,000, about 1,050. We have about 470 teachers, and the rest are what's called non-certificated staff. We have aides, secretaries, custodians, building maintenance workers.
Well, it's funny. Speaking of that, when I taught in the schools, I think the custodians, great people. Mr. Kessler was one at Memorial. I think the secretaries, they
run the school.
They do. They are phenomenal. Franny Heisen was at the junior high. And Franny just passed away. She was probably in her early 90s or whatever. What a sweetheart. I mean, there were many more as I think about it. But boy, they are what really makes the school rock and roll and do what needs to be done. And you're right. I mean, they were the key. You know, they knew what was going on and would be helpful. And I just always look forward to seeing them in the morning when I would come in. All of the ones that I worked with, they'd smiling. And Gladys McGraw is another prime example over at Wood School. And yeah, Millville was very fortunate. Had a lot of.
Hey, we have a lot of good ones now. I was talking to Terry King at Holly Heights. Her and Steve Saul are a great partnership there, and all the things that need to go, with all the schools. But a lot of good things happening with our support staff. Really, it is. It's amazing.
Steve Saul, I took that guy to Florida for his spring break. He and my son Gary are best friends. So, in fact, Bob Smith, the one I mentioned with the ball,
yep.
Bob and I and Steve and my son Gary went. And Bob Smith could be a comedian. We laughed. In fact, talk to Steve sometime. He'll tell you. We laughed the whole drive down and back. He was
Steve's a great guy, and
it's great family.
And that's a great school, and it's a good environment there. He'll have a new assistant principal.
I just saw his assistant principal. This was nice. What a nice event the Levo we put on about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. The 101 Dalmatians. So I go in and I see the assistant principal there with his mom and his dad and his wife and all that stuff. And the new assistant principal is
Jason Dorham.
Yeah, who was one of the best.
Another Millville boy.
And you know what? I wanted to say, Jason is a really great guy, and he and Steve will be a super team. Very, very nice people, both of them. And I really want to thank his dad, Ron. Ron Dorham, I can call it a Millville event, get the Hall of Fame thing or something. No problem, Jim. I'm in. Thank you. And thank you to Bob Connor, many other people. Bob has never told me no for any Millville sporting event or event in general. The kids at Lakeside, when they get moving up ceremony and the academic ceremonies and things like that we've been able to do.
Well, especially today, and thank you, because you mentioned I volunteered, but people forget why we had to do that, because we couldn't have it open to parents.
Oh, that's right.
And so you were able to get the sponsors, right. And we could televise football games with no stands, wrestling matches, basketball games, graduation events. It was critical that our parents could see that, at least remotely through the internet or through Channel 22. So thank you.
I want to mention too, Tony, thank you for all you did for the football season. This past Millville High School football season, of course, they won the state championship, and we did all the games except the final game. We had to delay it. We were able to cover it on the broadcasting and stuff, but we had to delay it for the televising. But Ryan Narowski told me he checked all the numbers on Facebook and YouTube, and the Millville football season brought us, just on between Facebook and YouTube, almost 250,000 viewers.
Wow.
Which, again, it's how things have changed. I mean, I was telling one of my advertisers today, I said about the 250,000 viewers for Millville High School. And I said, now, of course, the older people tend to want to sit home and watch it on TV because everybody else has got your phone and we're all looking online or whatever we do. But the nice thing is, if you don't have Comcast, you can see it anywhere in the world you want to see it.
Well, you see how you have Millville alumni all over the world watching.
Amazing, yeah.
And really so I'll be back to color because I think Rich Van Noord's going to be play-by-play.
Yes, he is.
So
and you got to, the only thing with him, get him straight. He always complains about the official, where the official puts the ball. Tell him, knock it off. I don't want to hear it.
We were game planning already for the season, and we were talking that this week. So
that's good.
Look forward to working with Rich again on the football games. Like I said, we'll have a travel and road show. We're going to be on the road a couple games. So and then we're at Lenape and Shawnee again.
I know, it stinks because those facilities.
And they weren't very hospitable to us either. I was very disappointed in that.
Yeah. That's Millville's.
I was waiting for them to come back here, and I was going to put them in the stands. Now I can't do it. I'm sorry, but Millville first. So they didn't reciprocate. We had to do the game like from ground level.
Yeah, I remember that. So I remember watching that. Wait, it's interesting. I have to tell you the truth. I started doing Millville football in 1969 on the radio. I started doing the TV in 74, 75, somewhere around there, and. The thing that was really amazing was the first press box that Millville had was the best. it actually, Larry, you probably remember when you were with Comcast or whatever, Aaron.
Covenant.
Yeah, Covenant Cable, yeah. That what happened was when you'd go up, you'd have each section. The one now is pretty decent, except as you know, Tony, it's hard
windows,
to see right
exactly.
and left. Yeah. There they had windows set up, windows and then windows to your side, so you could see the whole field. But the new one was not that. And the same with Bridgeton. Bridgeton had one of the best. In fact, I donated lots of money to the new Bridgeton press box. Thanks to Ed Salmon, you got me on that. And the old Bridgeton press box was very, very good. Everybody had your own compartment. You could see both ways, everything. And it had a common hallway that everybody would walk down the hallway, go in their little cubicle.
Kind of like Catone then. Catone's
yes,
kind of that way.
Well,
but they have small windows at Catone now.
Yeah, but now they've gone to just one room. It's like, okay, this is not what it used to be. Yeah. But they went to the.
Well, maybe we'll see how that goes with that, because we're not touching the press box at all.
Just put some windows in so they can see.
I might put a bathroom in between for halftime.
I got a funny story. A fellow who was quite a bit older, this has been years ago, at Cumberland Regional, he actually brought his own urinal. One of those things where I was like, okay, because from Cumberland Regional.
People don't know it's 3 stories high. It's pretty high. Yeah. So
well, plus the distance to go from Cumberland Regional to the school was astronomical. Mm-hmm. And Millville's is nice. Your distance from the press box to the restrooms are pretty
yeah.
Good. And Vineland's very good because Vineland has the facilities.
They're built in, right? Exactly.
As well.
So we'll be working on that. So that's our project, and we'll be doing. We're excited. A lot of things, both in the curricular, so the teaching and learning. We definitely have to get our student achievement in a better place. That's priority number 1. Obviously, priority 1A will be security. And then we also have all the other ancillary pieces, like as far as the infrastructure with the football field and all the things to make it the best learning experience and for our kids as they go through high school.
And I want to mention too, Tony will be doing a Millville Public Schools show whatever day he wants each month, and we'll run it every week so that he can update everybody as we did tonight.
Yeah, because we can get in the nitty gritty. It'll be a little wonky about because it's school budget. Or about deeper into, and I would invite people from security. Talk about, sure. We can only reveal so much on our security plan, but let parents know what we're doing with security. There are people come to the board meeting, say, what's your plan? And we've been working on it diligently for at least 2 years I've been here, but to let the parents know, allay any fears that we're on top of it. So
and I know you are. And very impressed, Tony, with what you and the board and all of your people, you administrators with you are doing, and keeping the kids safe. And I'm really excited. I've got 2 grandchildren. I have 3 grandchildren. Actually, my granddaughter, today's her birthday. Happy birthday, Autumn. She's at the high school. She'll be a senior this year at the high school. And my 2 little ones are over at Mount Pleasant. So, we certainly, everybody's concerned, about safety for children.
And that's getting invested, but we have to change the doors. So everything gets escalated now because of the different types of doors. So we're working on that and getting that done.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me, Jim. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for, again, this is a great venue here at the Motorsports Park. I always enjoy coming here.
Yeah.
And great place to eat also.
Yes, it is. Really good food. And it's very reasonable. I'd like to remind you on Thursdays, folks, Cumberland County people get 10% off their bill. And they have a special meal for $16. I think it was chicken something tonight. I didn't notice exactly. But with that comes super salad, the entree, vegetable, and cheesecake for dessert. So for $16, that's true. That's it. And tonight, it's interesting. My friends from Four Seasons are here. They have a whole group of people. 25 people are here tonight enjoying a wonderful meal. And Antonio, God bless you, you're a super chef. And thank you. We always enjoy the food, except this guy. I'm impressed. Soup and salad. So I said, well, I'm just having salad. So
I have the best salad here. It's that cranberry walnut salad. Every time we have an event here, it's outstanding. So
in fact, I got the strawberry one tonight, and usually I get the salmon salad.
But it's outstanding. Delicious. So not only is it affordable, it's really good.
Yeah, it really is. Tony, thank you so much. And Ryan Narowski, thank you. Otley Ewings, thanks for sitting in with us tonight. And Debbie, thank you. And Larry for coming out and joining us here at the New Jersey Motorsports Park. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
This has been a QVC television production in association with our partners and sponsors. QVC broadcasts on Comcast Cable Channel 22, and live streams its programming on Facebook and YouTube. All rights reserved by Quinn Media and QVC, programming that serves the South Jersey market.